Okay,
Or,
morning
so-
still. So, my name is Myra. I am the Chief Marketing and Strategy Officer in Home Credit Indonesia. Now, hands up, who knows Home Credit? Okay, not bad at all. Now, considering that my boss is sitting in the room and brand awareness is one of my KPIs, who knows Home Credit? Thank you, that helps, thank you. Okay, so the topic at hand today is digital transformation. I noticed that I'm not the only one to be speaking about it. It will be probably much less technical than what you've seen from some of the other presentations, and I will try to bring a bit lighter note. For those of you who don't know Home Credit, we are a 22-year-old company originally from Czech Republic in consumer finance field. That means loans, typically for consumer durables, phones, laptops, furniture, you name it. In Indonesia, we've been since 2013. We are present in 144 cities, pretty much everywhere apart from Papua, but that's yet to come. And we have financed last year 9.5 trillion, so just to get some sense of the scale. Dipping right into it. So, like I said, I will be not talking specifically in too much detail about what exactly we did at Home Credit Indonesia with digital transformation, but more looking a bit broadly on the topic of digital transformation for traditional companies or traditional businesses. And I'll be trying to answer some of these questions. So, what is digital transformation? It is true that it became a bit of a buzzword over a couple of years. I would like to probably clarify what it is not. It's got nothing to do with the popular franchise that, in my opinion, had already far too many installments. However, it might be very relevant for the companies that are either producing this movie franchise or they are producing and distributing all the merchandise which is accounting for a majority of their revenue. For them, digital transformation is indeed very relevant as for every other company out there. When I was trying to look for some sound definition for the purpose of this presentation on what is digital transformation, I didn't find actually any definition that I would really like, so I took the liberty to come up with my own. So the way I see it, digital transformation is an effort to transform existing businesses to drive better customer experience through usage of modern technologies and data insight, in a nutshell. Now, why is everybody talking about it? Like I said, I'm not the only person speaking here today about digital transformation. Digital is enabled by technology. So just to demonstrate how much the technology has actually developed over time, this is a visualization of something called Moore's Law. For those of you who don't know, this is that the number of transistors on integrated circuit chips double approximately every 2 years. So you can see the exponential growth here, and just on the scale of a little less than 50 years, you can see that the scale has grown from thousands to units of tens of billions. So technology is much more powerful than ever before and is accelerating fast. Next is about hardware and software and the related user experience. Now, there are a few pictures which are parts of technology, software, and like a user interface that were used in one very important project in the history of mankind. Any guesses where this is taken from? Anybody knows? No one? Okay, so these are elements that were used in the Apollo 11 moon landing project. Now, this hardware, the upper picture, is something which I found really funny, but it is the predecessor of ROM. Yeah, so it's something that is called a rope memory, and it was literally tiny iron rings with wires coming through them, which were a read-only memory storing information. Pretty simple system. Wire goes through the ring. It represents a binary 1. It goes around, represents a binary 0. The other picture is one of the chips that was used in the computers. The next picture with kind of this kind of hardware, which compared to modern smartphones, where you have, let's say, 4 gigabytes of RAM on any of your smartphones, which is about 1 million times more than these guys had at their disposal at that time. You can imagine that the software for this was quite a bit of a challenge, and there was little room for error and very little storage space to be operating with. So the next picture is actually a printout of the punch hole code that had the Apollo landing mission on, that's the whole software, basically. Imagine the bug testing on this, yeah? The result is that the user interface is nothing like we are seeing today with all the touch screens and microseconds responses in a very user-friendly way. It looks more like a calculator with some inputs in terms of numbers. It used a numeric language and combination of verb and noun system, which was representing actions and objects. So why I'm putting this here and why I'm showing you this is that because the better the hardware is, it enables better software, and the better the software, it enables better user interface or in other words, better user experience. So that's, looking back at the Moore's law and the exponential growth of the capabilities of the hardware, that's why digital transformation for many traditional companies becomes very important. Another reason, we are far more connected. Now this timeline represents only a short part of the previous visualization of the Moore's diagram. However, just in short 14 years, you can see that the number of individuals connected to the internet has grown from something like 1 billion to a little over 4 billion. And now more than half of the world's population is actually connected online. Now with such increased connectivity, you would be expecting that the way that we communicate has changed. And it has indeed. Again, a timeline that is showing some of the major chatting platforms. We went from letters to phone calls, through SMSs, now to messengers. Some of the platforms didn't exist like as little as 6 years ago, and you can see they're sporting now a healthy 1 billion or more users. So the way we communicate has indeed changed. And imagine working now without WhatsApp. I personally, just with my team, I have like 6 WhatsApp groups, right? So it's very effective. You can send files with it. I cannot imagine my life without it, or another messenger. So the way we communicate has indeed changed. But has it really? The upper picture is 3000 BC. That means 5,000 years old. And the lower one is popular emojis. Sometimes things get so complicated that we need to go back to the basics. Another reason why digital transformation is so important is that if we look at the valuation of the most valuable companies in terms of market capitalization for in 2009, so like a 10-year challenge, let's call it, 2019 to 2009, you can see the dominance of the purple color, which is basically energy. Oil and gas companies, right? It is fair to say that this is right after or still in the midst of financial crisis, where hundreds of billions of shareholder value was eradicated from the market. So you would see some banking houses from China which were not that affected, but a lot of the big traditional banking houses were gone. Fast forward 10 years, and not only we see the dominance of the orange color, which is all the technology companies, but also another thing, that the top 10 overall valuation in 2009 is less than the top 3 in 2019. The companies have become incredibly huge, and thanks to their large distribution technological innovations, the valuation is skyrocketing. So obviously, everybody will be asking all the shareholders, how can we be part of that? So now that we understand why is everybody talking about it, what is it all about? And I said before I would give it a bit lighter tone. So you've heard the Alibaba presentation before, which I definitely do not dispute. It's all about data, indeed. It's just the way how we treat the data. And I want to talk about a few buzzwords. Data are absolutely paramount for the successful digital transformation. It helps you to understand your customer preferences. It helps you to understand how your business works, what are the user funnels, what's the highest conversion, conversion, and even going as far as very detailed segmentation or even personalization of services, which again is more appreciated by customers and allows business to thrive. So working with data is essential, which brings me to the first buzzword, big data. I think if we would be ranking the buzzwords of the past few years, big data definitely takes the crown in the last 10 years. It's been in every presentation, on every earnings call, everybody's talking about it, everybody's claiming that they are doing it, or they are at least thinking about doing it. Now, what I've seen so far, the sad fact is that a lot of the companies who are talking about big data and how to utilize it to drive the business forward actually often fail to see what they can do with the small data that they already have, and they've been sometimes sitting on for a couple of decades. We're talking phone numbers connecting to customer names. I mean, when I'm calling to my bank, of course, I'm calling from the same number. They should know it's me. I should be going through very little or no authorization whatsoever. However, I still need 16-digit customer numbers, which I don't use for anything else. It's not very convenient. So before jumping into big data, companies should be looking at how they can work with small data. And with big data, indeed, it matters how you use it. The next buzzword, machine learning. Now, a lot of you engineers in the room might find this funny. Machine learning, again, another buzzword used in combination with AI in pretty much every sales pitch I received in my LinkedIn for the past year, I would say. Machine learning, there are some good examples of it. It might be a buzzword, but there are some cool applications of it which we use every day. Take Google Maps for calculating the right journey and the duration, how much it would take you to reach from point A to point B, although in Jakarta it definitely needs some more work, I would say. Or Google Translate, that was launched sometime in 2006, if I remember correctly. If you compare how much has it developed right now, it's getting much more accurate, even to the point where you can actually use it for live conversation. You can say something and communicate with a person which doesn't speak a word of your language. I know that. My wife uses it with my parents, which don't, she's Indonesian, they're Czech, right? So it works. It's amazing. So there are some amazing applications that we use every single day. AI. That's a big buzzword, and because it's often used together with machine learning and AI, a lot of people are interchanging those or are a bit confused what's actually the difference. Now, I'm not an engineer. Don't expect mathematical formulas and statistical methods which are used in both cases. I will try to simplify it. So, machine learning is about gaining knowledge. Yeah, gaining knowledge, learning from large data sets. And the aim is to have accuracy. Whereas AI is about using the knowledge in achieving success, making decisions, okay? So machine learning is about knowledge, and AI is about intelligence or wisdom. To paraphrase it, what is the difference between knowledge and wisdom? You can think about it like this. Knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put a tomato in a fruit salad. That's simplified what might be the difference between AI and machine learning. Now, AI got a lot of bad press. I don't know if you guys remember, in 2016, Microsoft launched its AI chatbot called Tai, which is acronym for Thinking About You, and they had to pull it down after 16 hours because it became basically a racist, sexist, Nazi, rude chatbot, and they had to bring it down because it was attacked by hacker. It was learning from that. Nevertheless, AI is definitely the future, and we will see much more implications thanks to also to a lot of the companies who are present here or presenting today. Fourth buzzword is Agile. You probably saw it coming by now. Now, Agile as an ideology or as a logic has a lot of truth to it. It's good. It's great. It's about empowering people. It's about making small increments of something that adds value. It's about self-managing teams. It's about users talking to the customers. So it's all great. However, as any new methodology that is implemented in the business, take Six Sigma or something, when it's taken too far, when it becomes too dogmatic, it might be problematic. So what you can recently see, some of the founders of the Agile Manifesto are actually writing articles about how the whole concept of Agile is actually being twisted nowadays. Nevertheless, if your company wants to take the advantage of the growing pool of the engineers which are out there in the market, you need to go Agile. What to do about it then? So let's look at a typical example. First, there will be a big announcement from competitor. We are launching a new AI-powered machine learning whatsoever product. Great. All the shareholders will be a bit worried and will ask, what is our company doing to counter that? Typically, there's a big announcement of a transformation coming with lots of cool names like Firebird or Phoenix or something similar. Then it comes the project resourcing, which unfortunately in a lot of the cases I've seen looks something like the picture over there. It's under-resourced. When it comes to the direction, because it's new technology and doesn't necessarily match with the old systems and old procedures, some things like this might happen. When an under-resourced project is not given enough direction, the approach that will be used is definitely far from ideal, and then your end customers might receive something like this. The part of the old world bolted on with a bit of new technology, and everybody will be shaking their heads and saying, what the hell? So, that's definitely not the way to go. Now, what actually matters? It's two things. Customers. And it's about understanding them. Data are important to them. Talking to them is important. What you need to understand is not only what the customers are saying, but what they are actually doing and what is driving their decisions. You will not learn only from conversation and asking them, but actually analyzing data, interpreting what they are saying, showing them prototypes. Steve Jobs said, the customers don't know what they want until you show it to them, which I believe to an extent is right and definitely should be remembered by any innovative company. And the role of the understanding of the customer is how to deliver them value and how to deliver them a great experience. The second is employees. Transformation for traditional companies. Well, of course it's scary. We are using things like automation, bots, chatbots, voice bots, machines. They're going to take our jobs. That's the first thing that comes to people's mind who've been working for an organization in some operational role for 10 years. But it's natural. So what we need to do in order to overcome this obstacle, we need to understand how the company operates, not only on the official level, but what are the working mechanisms between the teams, how they cooperate with each other, what works and what doesn't, what we shouldn't be touching and what we should immediately eliminating, and provide a strong vision, what we want to deliver to our customers that will drastically transform our company in a form of a compelling vision. Two sides of digital transformation, what the customer see and what the customer doesn't. Often, and ask yourself, when you have a shortage of IT resources for a project, you need to prioritize certain elements. Where will the effort go? Will you sacrifice on the customer experience and what they see, what drives the sales? Or will you sacrifice on some back-end processes where there will be a guy or two manually retyping data from one system to the other? It's the latter, right? But it's deeper than that. It's not only about system integrations, it's also about onboarding of employees. Every employee can be your ambassador. Imagine you just got the bright kid from the top school and you share with them the vision of your company, and they're all excited coming first day, and what they see. They've been asked to bring a big stack of documents with all their credentials, and they're asked to fill in 17 different forms with physical signature. Then they're told that, sorry, no laptop yet, procurement is late. And then they are given a 10-year-old presentation as a welcome note with a lot of the policies. Not exactly great experience to start with, right? So be always mindful about the backend and what the employees see. Briefly about our digital transformation, we started in 2013 on a market. We started with 2 hours turnaround time, that is basically time to decision. We have been the fastest at the market at that point. We had no paper application, which was normal at that point, but we had a printout of the contract once the loan was approved, which need to be physically signed. No cooperation with key commerce, mobile app we were not even thinking about, and feedback we were not collecting proactively from customers, we were only getting the negative one from complaints. Turnaround, fast forward 3 years, we managed to reduce to 30 minutes. We still had a wet signature contract. We didn't find a compliant way how to deal with it at that point. Still no cooperation with e-commerce, but we were already banging at their doors. They were just not listening at that point. And still no mobile app. We started tracking NPS, which is Net Promoter Score, on the portfolio basis every quarter. Fast forward to today, we are down to 3 minutes. We are not stopping there. People don't want fast, they want instant. So that's definitely something to improve. We have a fully paperless process that allows customer to sign their contract using an OTP code sent to their mobile phone, which has been given a green light by the regulator back in 2017, which is great. We cooperate with some of the biggest names in the e-commerce business. Mobile app, which has not even started by January 2018, was launched in 3 months since hiring the first developer. And now we are sporting some 6 million downloads and a very healthy, for our type of business, 10% daily active usage. We have introduced like a real-time checking of customer feedback, where the customer immediately after they pay or after they buy something are sent a survey that they can express their satisfaction and their NPS. This is then used in further processes to improve our processes and products. So this is a long process. This is something that the customers see behind the scenes. We have automated most of the processes. All our approvals are now happening in ticketing systems. So final question, how does it end? Short answer, it doesn't. Because the technologies will keep on evolving, it will not stop there. You have to keep up with the trends. Customers' expectations are increasing with every new innovation on the market. So unfortunately, this effort never ends. And that is pretty much all I have prepared for you today. I hope it was a bit lighter material than the rest of the presentations that you've seen today, and I wasn't boring you to death. Thank you very much.